Imagine we started in November last year and we integrated Oceans Apart and we saw that it's even working right now. We are going even up. There are hundreds of thousands in revenue.
From your perspective, working with UGC, AI, and automation, what's the interplay between these two brands and how your acquisition is making a true difference?
Start slow and start with what you can do the best and then expand it.
It's something you live and breathe, which inevitably has an outcome or has an impact on everything you do. Hello and welcome to the EGN Podcast powered by the e-commerce Berlin Expo. I'm your host, Efe von Thenen, and today I'm joined by Edvin Dizdaric, International Expansion Lead at SNOCKS. Edvin's journey is anything but conventional. He started with cold calls and now leads international growth for one of Germany's boldest lifestyle brands. In this episode, we talk about what it really takes to build a brand across borders, from launching in France, Italy, the Netherlands, and Poland, to creating 100+ ads per month with a team of only 4 people. You'll also hear about what SNOCKS learned from acquiring Oceans Apart and why aligning user-generated content, AI, and performance marketing is harder but more valuable than it sounds. If you want to have a behind-the-scenes look at how modern brands scale, this episode is for you. Hi, Edvin. Very nice to have you in our podcast. And I just found out that you also live in Hamburg. And very nice to have you. And you took a train and probably spent some time getting here in our kind of secluded studio. Yeah, so I'm super excited to talk to you about quite a lot of stuff today. But first and foremost, we want to get to know you. Please introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much for the invitation. It's so nice to talk to you. I just met you and it feels very warm already. So happy to be here. So I'm Edvin, I'm 31 and I live in Hamburg since 5 years. So before that I lived in Koblenz and I'm the head of internationalization at SNOCKS and UGC. So I'm one of the few who has 2 teams. Yeah. And what I did in the past, should I go a little bit about timeline stuff?
Please.
Mm-hmm. So I grew up in a small village, 450 people live there. Yeah. So very small. And then I started school, etc., going to study. And my first work was after my bachelor's degree. And I was thinking okay, now let's go. I finished studying, so the world can't hold me back. So where are the jobs? And there were no jobs.
No jobs?
No jobs. So it was really hard for me to find one, actually. So I wasn't the best student, to be honest. So I haven't the best grades. But for me, it was, okay, I'm academic, kind of. And my parents are from Bosnia. So we don't have so many people who are studied so much. So I was like, okay, now let's see. And I ended up then working for a bowling center. Where I started, and they told me, hey, you can go.
How old were you?
I was, I think, 23, 22, something like that. So I started my first job there, and then they said, okay, let's go into marketing. Yeah. And I was happy. I was thinking, okay, this is my door opener. Yeah. So let's go. Fuck it. It's like it's a bowling center.
Yeah. So you got to start somewhere, right?
I will start somewhere because also in the past I was doing a lot of summer jobs. I was like cleaning. I was going in a restaurant. My parents had a restaurant, and so I'm used to work. Yeah, and
same here. Started probably working at 14 or something, just delivering stuff.
Yeah,
you got to start somewhere, I guess.
Yeah, my dad took me also in his firm where he worked, and I got €4 per hour.
I love it.
Yeah, I came there and the boss were also Bosnian. So he was really proud to give me the money. Wow. And in the end, it was so less. It was so small. Yeah. I worked really my ass off. I needed to do this wood thing all the time and then crush it the whole day. I hated it because I hate repetitive work. And you will see about automation stuff and so on that I can't do handy shit.
Yeah,
if
yeah.
I do it like
But
one.
maybe that made you so impatient that today this is a huge benefit, you know?
Yeah, I need to say that because after that I worked at some companies where I get like summer jobs. You need
Yeah.
some money, you know? And then I needed to do the easiest work, which normal workers wouldn't do. And then you're doing the repetitive stuff.
Yeah.
And I hated it so much. But yeah, for the bowling stuff, it was then, turns out, no marketing because, yeah, the owner was kind of into marketing and he loved it. And so I was more into cold calling.
Okay.
And I needed to call for every week 300 people and then sell them Christmas parties, but it was summer.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I was kind of learning and I was like thinking, okay, let's do this. Let's start with this.
So like you're calling 200 to 300 people every week?
Yeah.
Or every day, or like
I think it was every week.
I mean,
so
every week would be more humane.
Yeah, it's nice. So I don't need it to talk like really every single day, like to 100 people. That would like really crush me.
Yeah.
So I couldn't do something else, but it wasn't really marketing stuff. So it was really about calling.
Yeah.
And then I started to figure out, okay, how can I do that? How can I get better? It's like cold acquisition, blah, blah, blah. I learned it, but I hated it. So I really started to think, okay, it frustrates me because you go with people who don't take care about what you're saying, even if you're nice. And I'm like kind of the nice person, like going down this thing there with the headphones, and they're like, hey, I'm Edvin, I'm working at a bowling center. So would you like to think about like have a bowling Christmas party, da-da-da? And they like, it's summer.
Should we do, because I did cold calling too.
Yeah.
So let's do a role play here, and then you start.
Okay, it's like, hey, how's it going? I'm Edvin, and I'm from the bowling center.
Where do you have my number?
Oh, I just found it on your webpage, so I was super interested in. So.
Yeah, I don't have time right now.
So you don't have time. I'm really sorry for that, and I can understand, but I have a really good offer for you, and I will take work from you.
Yeah, but you're talking about Christmas. It's summer. I don't get it.
Yeah, I know actually, but Santa's also very busy, so we need to prepare a little bit earlier so that he can prepare because he has a list and he needs to work on his list. And if you're on there, he can make it till Christmas and bring you your presents for your workers.
Yeah.
You know, so let's try to figure out how we can make it to the Christmas party together.
At some point, I will give in because, like, when you keep being nice, so like that, I know what you mean.
Yeah, but it was like not like that, so
Yeah.
I didn't even pick up this line, so I didn't try it. But yeah, it was really frustrating, and this fact of calling people who don't take care like dragged me down.
Yeah.
So I started to think about doing a Google course, and I was like having a friend, and he was at a performance marketing agency.
Yeah.
So I started doing this and I learned it. So, and therefore I was calling, but on the other side, I was doing my course to get the certificate for Google Ads beginners so that I can start. And then I did this all the time until I finished. And then I applied at his agency or like at the friend's agency where he was working for. And then I switched after that to the agency and started to being a performance marketer.
Insane.
Yeah, that was this thing kind of. Yeah. And after that, it goes like from the one agency, I took another big decision for me because I'm kind of a people pleaser. So it's for me like kind of I look on other people and I always wanted to be in Hamburg. So I went there once and I was thinking, oh, maybe I want to live there.
Wow.
But I sit
like an inner calling somehow.
Yeah, it was an inner calling. And I felt it, but I didn't listen so much to it because I was thinking, okay, my life is like this. So I'm from a village, super small, and now I'm in Koblenz. It's 120,000 people, so it's kind of big. So it's good. I made it out. But I didn't know that it was behind that more and behind that more. And nowadays I know it's unlimited, but I didn't know it in the past. So I started to think, okay, something drags me there. Yeah. And I hated it. And then my girlfriend, my ex-girlfriend, she was like, okay, she's moving there. And I kind of took the easy way out and said like, hey guys, I need to go. I want to follow her. I wanted to follow her. Yeah. But I told her also later.
Just when you arrived, you're like, see you never.
Yeah, kind of like, okay, actually, I don't like it here, so I will move on. But I took it, and the fun fact was I was at application part for Würth. You know, this big company, very big.
Yeah.
And you needed to wear a suit and so on.
Oh, wow.
And I wanted to go into sales because I'm kind of a nice guy. I tried cold calling.
Yeah.
And they wanted me. They even skipped one process for me so that they saying like, hey, if you want, you can work there. And I will be a regional sales leader, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, you go on marketing to Hamburg or you go in a suit with a car to Würth.
Okay.
And this was kind of a really decision of, okay, do I stick to the comfort zone because I could have it and grab it, or should I go to Hamburg and I don't know what will happen?
Yeah.
And I went the uncomfortable way.
Nice.
And this discomfort is like always like out of the comfort zone. Yeah. And what I can tell is most decisions out of the comfort zone were the best so far.
Yeah. And when did you make the shift to start working at SNOCKS?
Yeah, so I was in an agency then in Hamburg and started doing media buying, and it was really big. And as I said it, in agency life is, okay, you pitch for something, then you have a lot of work, then some people are going, the fluctuation is kind of big. So I needed to work a lot, and I kind of decided, okay, I want to be specific in something, because in an agency you're doing kind of everything. So I did some
Mädchen für alles.
Of course, like that.
Yeah.
And I was really good in what I was doing, but I wanted more. And then I always have this inner feeling that I know something calls me or I want to do more. I feel doing more. And I just forgot about it. It's like I was self-employed making parties.
Okay.
In Koblenz, and I met the guys from the WHU, like the WHU. Yeah. It's like a very good university. Mm-hmm. And I remember the talk where I was talking to Jonas, and I said like, hey, you did your bachelor's, where are you going? And he said, I'll go to Google. Okay. I was like, wow, what nice, how cool, tell me more. I was like, yeah, it's not bad. It's like, wow, how you made it is, for them it's like kind of nothing, because like
day-to-day
university
operation,
and for me it was groundbreaking, because I was thinking like I limited myself so many times, because I was thinking I could never go there, I could never achieve something like this. And then an occasion came that I was talking to a friend, and her girlfriend worked at TikTok. And then I was like, okay, I want to quit. And I quitted the job because it got like really bad. So I said like, okay, I will dump this. Even if I don't have another job, I will clean toilets. I don't care. I will go back, but I will make myself happy. And then I decided to go. And then this TikTok opportunity came. So I went to an application through TikTok, made it to the last round, everything nice. And for me, it was really big, because I was thinking, wow, this is TikTok. It's one of the biggest companies,
emerging brands.
And me, the small guy from the village of 450 people, I could make that. And then I realized even more, okay, it goes in this direction. I can do something.
You could do anything, pretty much.
If I want to, I can be that guy. And then SNOCKS came.
Wow.
So I was in the application, and the fun part was I was declining all jobs, because I was saying like, okay, I'm in the last round of TikTok. They took forever. Sorry for that. If you guys can do your onboarding process a little bit faster, that would be good. It took me 3 months. So
we had TikTok in the podcast too.
So next time maybe tell them.
Because
I was literally in the last round, and they took so long. And then your hiring manager came and said, hey, do you want to listen to SNOCKS? I was like, okay, SNOCKS sounds cool. I know them from Mario Kart and drinking tequila shots from the past, so let's listen to them.
Wow.
So and then it was also a crazy journey. I will shorten it a little bit. So they called me. I was in Prague. Then a co-working space kicked me out of Prague when I was talking to Anna and Johannes. So I ended up on the street in Prague, sitting with my laptop with my hotspot, talking to the both of them.
Oh my God.
I got kicked out twice. So... this was also funny, because I was thinking, okay, this is over. I will go to TikTok. And they said, okay, you're kind of interesting. I want to listen again. And then we had a second round, Johannes, Anne, and I. And then I did the case, and they wanted me. But I was honest to them and said, hey, I have TikTok, like the company, and kind of the making my parents proud, whatever, is like the thing in my head. They don't know SNOCKS, but they know TikTok, you know, like I can make them proud. Again, the same decision as I said with Word, and the other is like comfort zone, making parents proud, but maybe it's not what I wanted, or going in a startup where you don't know, but it's kind of fulfilling because it sounds like really nice. And then Johannes invited me to the Christmas party without even starting. He was like, okay, I want you, so you can come to our Christmas party. Hotel, everything is kind of set up.
Yeah.
And then I went there. We had a nice evening. And then I tried not to be influenced by that.
Yeah.
And really try to think. And for me,
make a rational decision.
Yeah. It's about like SNOCKS was, okay, I can build something there. And as you know, like now I built a lot with them together.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know if I could do that on TikTok in like a big company, because me as myself, I'm like a kind of free brain. So
yeah,
I ended up at SNOCKS.
I mean, wow. First of all, thank you for I found that was one of the most authentic intros we had in this podcast. And it's like the way you talk about your past, and I think we all have such moments where you're like doing things not just because you personally want something, but like found it very interesting that you mentioned making your parents proud. We all have these like learned mechanisms, you know, like you want to do things for other people, like you people pleasing and all that stuff, and how you kind of how all that shapes your journey and leaving the comfort zone. I mean, in this podcast we also focus on leadership stories, because I mean, even the people we meet out there that listen to these episodes, they're trying to make something more out of themselves. Regardless of how much you've achieved, there's always the next level. And what I want to get to is today, like, you obviously found an environment at SNOCKS that is conducive for you unleashing the power, you know, like within. And so what kind of culture do they have that made it possible for you? Maybe let's start with that. And then tell us, I think one area where we can start is like, you guys have been expanding to all kinds of countries in Europe, beginning France, Italy, Netherlands, Poland. What's been going on with that? Let's talk about your journey at SNOCKS.
Yeah, of course. So I think at SNOCKS, mostly it's the freedom. So I started there, and it was really unusual, so that I have kind of time. I can close my laptop. You know, when you have Teams on, you sometimes use your mouse and then to stick to green so that nobody sees it. At SNOCKS, it's like,
I'm self-employed, so I don't have to do that.
Yeah, you know, but it's like kind of uncomfortable to know, okay, I was like 2 hours away. So even in this home office COVID part, and at SNOCKS, it's really like, okay, you can work whenever you want. The trust is super big, and therefore I could grow up my own kind of business inside of SNOCKS. And this was something what I really liked, because I told Johannes at this Christmas party that I was like, hey, I have this founding heart. So at one point, maybe I will found myself. I am self-employed as well, besides SNOCKS. So I'm doing this both. And on the other side, it's like, okay, I can make little SNOCKS, like I can express myself completely, and everything what I bring into it was kind of valuable. So, and I'm not going there and some egos are inside of that. And it was really like, okay, let's figure out how we can make it big. So freedom for me completely, trust completely, and testing. So we can test everything, and we are kind of testing culture. And they even like encourage you, saying like, okay, let's test it. This why not? You know, like our old slogan is like, why not trying it out? And this was like one of the best, or like still is one of the best feelings. And then of course, like expanding, I started at a performance marketer with my boss Arne, and then I grew up, and we had this one shot of UGC, for example. We were thinking, okay, as I said on the expo stage, like, should we put it inside of the performance team or the creative team? We said, why not? Performance team. We grew on that. We built it. We leveled up. We got Claudio, Katrin, Steffi now, like a big UGC part. And then on the other side with the investing and so on, it came like, okay, investors came inside of the company. We want to make it bigger. What is the next big thing?
Yeah.
It's internationalization.
Yeah.
So, and first of all, Arne took over, and then it was also again a situation where this comfort zone thing or this comfort zone thing, like out of the comfort zone thing, was that they called me. I was in Berlin, like in a leadership training.
Okay.
At TAM, and then I was sitting there, and then he called me and said like, hey, I have this opportunity to get as a director, and I want to bring you both up, like Marina and I, and you should do the internationalization, would you? And you need to know that I was talking to him. I was like, hey, when I'm not jealous at one point is that you need to do this internationalization thing, Anna, because I was scared. Like I was thinking like, okay, it's one thing to make SNOCKS bigger, like in a process which is there. The other thing is SNOCKS never internationalized. So we never kind of, Dach, it's normal, but we never went to kind of, okay, let's go to the Dutch market or the French market. So it was scary, and I was not thinking, and I was actually thinking that I cannot make it.
Yeah.
So I was scared. But on the other side, again, this feeling of, okay, you could miss something. The feeling is you can try. What could happen? Wrong, and then I said yes, and we started the journey last year in March, where we started. And what happened there, Anna was giving me the overview of like a Miro board and Asana board and so on, and then we started, and we didn't have a page. Like we had the Shopify Germany page, and we tried to translate it with ChatGPT. We thought like, okay, that would be super easy. We have ChatGPT. It will do it. Yeah, we did pipelines. It was like really crazy. And in the end, we couldn't make it. Because it was JavaScript inside of our pages, but we need to. We had investors. It was the business plan was in April, Edvin, or even in March we start. And I was starting at the end of February. I was like, oh man, how can I do that? And they're like, okay, let's do it kind of together. And the biggest challenge in the beginning was I was even in the hiring process. So I had the Dutch market. Anna hired someone for the Dutch market. It's Lotte. And then there were no for France, no for Italy. So besides growing up this business, somehow I and the team or like SNOCKS needed to do like, okay, we need to hire as well people.
Yeah, of course.
So I had like both things like going on, hiring and kind of figuring out how we can make it. Like how we can sell in 1.5 months.
And probably 100 other problems that you didn't think about, like that happened at the same time.
No, I was doing so many brain dumping Miros where I just like put it inside of that.
Oh, that helps.
That helps so much. I'm like this kind of guy, also a nerdy tech guy. I had even this MetaQuest thing. I was putting myself into a very big Miro and started to paint, to think about, okay, because it's not the most efficient way, but my head needed to vomit somewhere to really think about what's going on.
We also did that for like all kinds of to do as a leader in a leadership training with Svante Almas and Michael Trautmann. They're well known for these trainings. And like the first thing you do is just dump all the ideas in your mind, because when you do that, it gives you a sense of freedom too. You dumped it. So, okay, like it's all there. And doing it with MetaQuest is probably the next level.
Yeah, it was nice because I was imagining myself like thinking, okay, how can I have the most biggest screen ever? Then start painting, like, or you can write on it, you know, and then stepping back and then looking at this big screen and thinking about, okay, how can I wire that? What are the problems? And then that was really nice for me, for my brain to work on it. And then we started figuring out, okay, we are using a tool in Shopify called Wiglot. So it's translating in the front end because we had too many small back end things which are not making it possible to translate. So we used this tool, and then we were thinking, okay, we need to do meta in the beginning. So how can we set up this? And there were like a lot of small challenges. The service was not able to translate in different kind of languages. The logistics system is kind of getting expensive to go abroad. So how much is it?
Overhead.
Yeah, overhead. And then it's like, okay, how can we make it? We need to check the CM1, like these contribution margins. It's like, okay, the CM2, the fulfillment and the shipment and so on, it's like kind of expensive. How can we go down there? Because we're not really earning money.
Yeah.
And then problem after problem after problem. But we made it because we always kind of go this 1% method of, okay, let's just do it. Just try it out.
Yeah.
And a good thing was that we focused then on just one thing after another. So we get really good in meta, so like performance marketing, and said, okay, let's do Facebook marketing. And then we stopped doing influencer and so on. And we are adding it like modules. Okay, level 1 is kind of making the page happen. Trying to sell.
Localization.
Safe. Step 2 is like, okay, let's go into marketing and do one thing what we can do.
Probably,
I was the performance marketer. So me as a head of, if I would start with influencer marketing, like other companies recommended, I think I wouldn't make it that well because my excellence is more into automation and meta.
Yeah.
So I started to teach the team how we can get set up ad groups and campaigns and so on.
Yeah.
So, and then we leveraged it small step by step.
Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I read something like over 100 ads per month, like pushed by you guys and just by a team of 4 people or something.
So it was also my team, the UGC team. So we have our UGC leader, that's Katrin. Then Steffi is a UGC manager and Claudio is our video editor. And then we have one freelancer who's like helping. Yeah. And then we built all of this because it started very small. We just didn't want to put the namings inside of the ads. We just thought like, okay, let's do automated naming because we need the right naming all the time. So the product needs to be at the right place and so on and so on. And I was like thinking, okay, how can I make this happen? Because the problem was also Claudio lives in Portugal and he's not a native German speaker, but edits German ads. So very funny on the one side, but also challenging. But I love to because he was very, very motivated to do this.
Wow.
And it was interesting to work very cultural at the beginning. And he was the first English-speaking person at SNOCKS. And we switched the whole language of the company to English for him.
Oh my God.
And that was really nice because I really liked it to work in such an environment with intercultural differences. Yeah. And then making it happen so that they can work together properly. We start using Airtable and think about the naming and etc. And then we were never stopping thinking about, okay, how I can make this process better, how we can do this. And I'm like very good in automizing because I hate doing hand stuff. So like if I have a Google Sheet table and I need to put data from one end to the other by hand, I get crazy. Yeah. And then I think like, okay, how can I automate this? And I did this all the time with the team. I teach the team and now they are doing it by themselves. So I leveraged it kind of. Yeah. And then we get to this point where we could deliver so many ads.
Edvin, can you give us some concrete examples what exactly you've automized? And also, how much of that is driven by AI? Like, like everyone is talking about AI-driven automation. Would be interesting to, like, dynamic product ads probably that is something that you would mention. But beyond that, what are some of the examples?
Yeah, so to make it very easy, it's not actually AI in terms of ChatGPT. Yeah. So you can really start with just automizing things. So we are using in Airtable native automation tool or Zapier or Make. And then what we're automizing is, for example, the naming is just in formula. It's just concatenating things together so that in the end, the name is there. Yeah. First automation kind of.
Exactly.
The second is how can we make the concept easier? So it needs to get to the creator. Yeah. But it's very annoying to ask the creator all the time through email, gets the email back with the address and etc. We just make a formula, native integration in Airtable. Second automation. Yeah. Very easy, just having a formula. And it puts the data inside of the right direction. Then we start to do it a little bit easier when we do the briefing. We have the names, we have already the addresses, and we get like the information on the page third, easy automation. For example, Notion gives this opportunity with Airtable so that you can kind of put the data together. So
it's funny because yesterday in the prior talk we had, I was talking about someone that I talked to. She also recommended Notion as a tool. And so, interesting that you mentioned that.
Yeah, we're kind of mixing a lot of tools because Notion cannot handle so much data or couldn't do it in the past. That's the reason why we used Airtable.
Yeah.
Airtable gives us direct dashboards. They have all pros and cons. Yeah. But in the end, it's making it very simple. As I said, now it's like, okay, we have now the information, we have now the data, we kind of mixing working with the stuff. So we have a process flow inside of Airtable and we collect the data at the same time. So we are getting less steps. And this is the most important thing. Try to figure out on your workspace, how can you make this one step less? And then think about like priority, which one has the highest impact or like the highest minutes you can save every single time. Yeah. And therefore you reduce your work. And if you're doing it like we did 2.5 years, we reduced a lot of minutes and therefore we could make a lot of ads.
Yeah, crazy. And also what's super interesting for me is this integration between user-generated content, your ad campaigns, and every other process that has to work with together in order to give you that extra time that you can invest in other things, you know?
Yeah. So actually we talked about it in the beginning. Yeah. Is where the LLMs, it's like the large language models, it's like ChatGPT, Claude, and so on. They are coming. Is that you guys can do all these automations with them. So it's easy to make scripts or something like this just by talking to them or like writing them. And therefore we are doing a lot of tools like generative text. We have, for example, then assistants, which are translating because you have the DeepL translation or something, but you can also train assistant models. And if you have native speakers, which are saying, hey, this is not right, this should be like this, you fill up the assistant and it will get smarter and smarter. Yeah. And then, for example, also this, how can we make two companies, for example, we are going into Oceans Apart, SNOCKS part, and we need to save time because the part is in the future and so on, and maybe we can talk a little bit about later, is that agents are starting, LLMs are starting taking actions, and we're kind of considering that. And what we're doing is combining, for example, Facebook installation, like putting up everything to the campaigns, to ads, and combining it with the UGC part, for example, so that it goes natively into Facebook and then nobody has to push it to Facebook. Yeah. This saves us, again, we think about how much saves us time, 6 to 8 hours per week.
Wow.
Okay, let's do this because it's taking a lot of time, like setting up all the campaigns or making these huge sales preparations for us. And if we can do it and save a lot of time, we're doing it. We are looking always on the time so that people can do human things, like being creative, thinking about strategy, logic, and so on.
Yeah, totally.
So quality time.
And these markets that you've expanded to within just 12 months, I guess, like you also spoke at the expo, e-commerce Berlin Expo. 9th edition. Thank you, by the way. I heard really great things about it. I also had a chance to take a look at the video. So your go-to-market playbook, you know, for the learnings from all these, can we break it down to 3 to 5 just key takeaways?
Yeah. I think make it possible to sell. So kind of your site needs to be translated and then you need to have the background of logistics and so on, that everything goes well. Yeah. That's the first part. Even like the service is not has to be like super excellent. You can just write emails or something. Yeah. So that's the part. Make it right. Make the foundation. So this is the first one. The second is try to combine everyone inside of it, like get the best out of it. We have so many experts at SNOCKS, for example. Just talk to them and then see what they would do. And then I combined everything together to think about, okay, how would I start? And then the third thing is do what you can do the best. So I'm the performance marketer. And as I said before, if I would do influencer marketing, I would need to start again. But I'm very good in automizing, I had my UGC team and performance, and it was like, okay, that's a match. Let's try this out to be good. And then these are the three things. It's like, just have your foundation you can sell. You get your knowledge, don't have an ego. Try to make your own thing. So get a lot of insights. I'm talking to so many people and in SNOCKS, out of SNOCKS to get the best insights. And the third one is then start slow and start with what you can do the best and then expand it.
Totally. That breaks it down
That's very easy,
well.
I would say.
Sounds very easy.
And it starts very, very bad. So just it wasn't like going up. It was like all these kind of things.
Ups and downs, right?
Yeah, for example, we just have one product right now. We facing challenges. We just have the hipster lace, which is working quite well in every country. Then the boxer shorts are coming a little bit, but this product distribution, for example, is super challenging to go to the next steps and so on. But just believe and trust in the process and try to get better every single time and see what you can do. And then it will come. So
Edvin, been super curious when you accepted our invitation to talk here, and I thought, okay, like I have to talk to you about the acquisition of Oceans Apart, because there's been so many different perspectives on this, and maybe you can just walk us through what's been going on, because you have an insider's view on things, and from your perspective working with UGC, AI, and automation, what's the interplay between these two brands and how your acquisition is making a true difference?
So first of all, it was kind of crazy because I never thought about, or I think we never thought about like buying another company. So I had the luck to be kind of in the position where I get a little bit more of insights, and Rehan and Johannes, they took us through it. So I remember the day where we had our head calls and we were sitting there, and then they said like, hey, we have a learning call. They are doing learning sessions and teach us a lot. And they said like, hey, we have a pitch deck and we have like some information about this and this company. Let's check it. But we just have 99% we will not do it. So first that we checked it, and it was very interesting to see other companies' data, because you can apply to, you can give like an offer, whatever, and then you see something. And we started like this, and then I remember that we said, okay, we will not do it. But then I think Rehan was really into that, and he checked the data, and he was actually thinking like, oh, that's like doable. That's not bad.
I love it.
And he came back and he was like, okay, maybe we will check more. And we get through more and more steps.
And he strikes me as exactly that person, like you're really taking a deep dive, and then, you know.
I loved it. I loved it because I was seeing how he was into that and how smart he was. And it was also a new experience for him, because he never bought a company. So even Johannes never like bought a company like this. And it was really interesting to see how all of this went through. And then we got more and more data. If you go in more steps, you get this data rooms and checking on it. And this was very, very interesting for us. And then we even had this team lead offsite where we then were thinking about potentially how we gonna make it, what will be the strategy, and so on. So they took us really through it. And in the end, we bought it. So it was also very interesting then to know, okay, what happens next, because it was in November. It got really fast. It was Q4. So we were really stressed out about Black Friday and Halloween sale and so on. And then it was, okay, now we have another company. And they said, okay, let's meet in Mannheim and then be nice. And then they invited us. And
I love it.
We had this evening together. I really need to say, I really like them all. It was a perfect fit, I need to say. People came there, like also people went out, so they quit it and looked for something else, and it's totally fine. But it was really nice chatting with them, and nowadays also working. So it was the transition between us two was really nice. So we were thinking about
kind of smoother than expected, even.
Way smoother, because I was thinking like, okay, should there be like a challenge? Is there someone trying to get into positions or something like this? Is they even? It's like they're kind of very mad, I would say. Like they have a tough time in the past. So how it will be? And they really gave us the chance to show us and then grow together. And then we were thinking, okay, how are we gonna do that? So which position is there? So for example, Carl went then through data, and then there were another people who went to logistics and supply chain and so on.
Yeah.
And then we integrated it together. So some of them are like leading SNOCKS and Oceans Apart, and someone are kind of integrated into teams and also leading or specialists and so on.
Wow.
So we really integrated together because Johannes was really important to say, okay, we try to make, it's always like kind of hard saying that, but like kind of a family thing, like a group thing. So it's very important. And this was his first priority to say, okay, let's make it as comfortable as possible for them. So really think about guys, they had a tough time. And nowadays we're really working well together, and we have this group thing. So we have head offs like me for SNOCKS, internationalization. And then there's Jana, for example, the group head of SNOCKS and Oceans Apart.
Okay.
So they're leading both teams.
Okay. Like kind of coordinating also. Yeah.
And this is what we're going to do. Is like we're the SNOCKS group, and we want to grow even further. We want to think about even buying more companies and so on. And then we think about how we can manage it. And therefore, this part of UGC and this automation part comes in, because we need to think now, not just for SNOCKS, we need to think about like making it modular for every company. Because imagine we started in November last year and we integrated Oceans Apart, and we saw that it's even working right now. We are going even up. There are hundreds of thousands in revenue. We were talking about like with the influencer already, all the people which got not paid or something. We talked to them, we helped them and so on. We really cleaned it up in such a short time. And now they're integrated in our company. We have the same calls on Mondays. We are checking their performance, the SNOCKS performance. We try to raise and so on. So it's very interesting to have this modular approach. Therefore, we put a lot of effort inside of automation, LLMs, and so on to make it easier. Because Johannes was saying, I rather want to pay you guys more than to hire now a lot of people. So because we can manage this, you guys are all kind of motivated and so on. So let's try to figure out and let's make the right decisions.
Yeah. While looking through some of the material of the research, I came across these butt billboards. Could you tell us a little bit about that? Like in Hamburg, there was this initiative. Apparently, do you know anything about it?
At the airport?
Yeah, I think so.
We got it for free, to be honest. I don't know. Tommy did this, and they're like an exchange, and then we just put our pictures on it, and we had it for 1 day or 2 days at Hamburg.
Yeah.
Or do you mean the butt campaign, which was a bit problematic, I would say? Or
I think I like that. That's the other one. Like not just the one at the airport. But
I got it.
The kind of like controversial one.
I think the guys or the whole team with the creative team, they did such an amazing job putting a lot of butts, and also Jan Schlappen, the influencer, went through our whole office. And I think the controversial part was that she was expecting or like thinking that we took the idea from the last year. But what I know so far is that I saw them, how they were planning everything, and they liked it. But
what was the campaign like?
The campaign was about like about like butts, like every butt is different, but we're all the same. We're wearing underwear. So like this was it. And they made so much fun out of it because they are in Mannheim, I'm in Hamburg, and they invited so many people, even customers, asking for if they want to come and show their butt. No faces, but just butts. And they could decide what they want to wear. So a lot of people wear thongs, like men wear thongs, and think about like, you can decide what you want. So they were deciding and kind of making it out of fun. Yeah. And that was the experience.
I think that shows like throughout this conversation, I think it's super interesting that you really radiate this company culture. I noticed how you started, how you had the freedom to really present your best self or like unleash the power within. Yeah. And then also you have this acquisition, and then you like the first thing you have thought about is just like, guys, let's be nice, like, and then you go into that challenge, and there seems to be an open culture, accepting, like trying things out and see, hey, if we fail, we have tried, right? So, and then you come to the campaigns and it seems to be the same approach. So all across the board, something that's like, for many companies, something that's just on one landing page, hey, our values, our vision, something like that, seems to be like, with you guys, it's something you live and breathe, which inevitably has an outcome or like has an impact on everything you do. I just wanted to point that out again, because to me it strikes me as something that in the core, in the DNA of everything you guys do.
Yeah, I agree on that. It's not always easy. So we are a fast growing company. So we have like goals and so on. We are very performance driven. That's something what we are doing, and what it's really important also to us. But on the other side is this fact of, okay, if you are motivated and intrinsic motivated, you have the chance of doing a lot of things. So as I did, as the others did, as my team can do, so they can try out literally kind of everything. So I wouldn't recommend doing like 1 million shots or something like this. So maybe, but on the other side is this fact of, okay, you can grow, do what you think, and people are not used to it, because sometimes they're thinking like, hey, Edvin, why are you not deciding? I was like, yeah, because I want you to grow, because I want you to give the opportunity. What are you thinking? Because you will grow on that. If I decide just to say, okay, I would love to do it like this and that and this, we're not growing. And this is something what Jonas is providing since day one, since I did it. And for me, it's one of the most important thing to grow at SNOCKS. And I say always, working at SNOCKS is like the dog years. So like 1 year at SNOCKS is like 7 years in dog years.
I love it.
You know, I feel like I learned so much.
Oh my God. I've never heard this from anyone before.
Yeah, this was my feeling always. It's like, okay, this is so much for my brain.
Hilarious.
So many insights. I learned TV ads, I learned Google ads, I learned TikTok. I internationalized in so many things. I learned Airtable, I learned coding, I learned so much. And they provided me this because they said like, Edvin, do your thing. I did the scaling automation. I do the Facebook automation. We're automized Klaviyo templates to different languages and so on and so on. So like so many things, and therefore like, okay, what I learned in the last 3 years is like in dog years, like what people learn.
I love it. Yeah. Talking about dog years, so like we've talked a lot about what you've done, and sometimes history doesn't repeat itself, so there will be complete new things, right? So what can you tell us about what's coming? Like what the future holds for SNOCKS and Oceans Apart, or maybe even further companies that you will acquire?
I think there are a lot of opportunities. So if we're going through the time with AI and LLMs and so on, so we are in that time. So there will come a lot, and we need to adapt on it and make it fun. So what I see in the past, when I came, the automation Addy came and tried to do some things, people get scared, because I did a project, for example, to automate pictures, like hundreds of pictures, and putting the text into right templates, blah, blah, blah. So people are getting scared and thinking like, okay, what should I do? And I try to explain them, you're doing the nice stuff. You're doing the valuable stuff. You're thinking, you're being creative, you're being human. And this is something what we need to think in the future, that they will help us. Agents will come. This MCP thing, where that's the new version of APIs will come and so on. So don't like try to avoid it, because it's way faster than we are. Like the technology. Try to adapt it and learn with it. And then you will have more time to do the more important thing, the excellence, the last percentage, which we humans are very good in. So this is something what will be in the future. And I think when we SNOCKS and Oceans Apart, we will grow as a SNOCKS group, be bigger, buy more companies. People will have more insights, will have more responsibilities, and so on. So everyone who's like joining the ride is going to expand in his life, like getting these small dog years, gets to learn a lot. I said it's like a performance thing. So I think there we will grow even more, because we can see that we are able to handle a company. We are able to face challenges. We are growing in times where everyone like decreases number, like has decreased numbers. And we were growing throughout all the time, like all the crisis. So there is something what we are doing good, and it's like always challenging ourselves, don't have any egos, whatever. So I think the future holds a lot, especially in this AI thing, so that it will help us make our lives easier. I saw this last time NVIDIA thing, like all these robots which are going through your kitchen and start to clean stuff and so on.
Yeah, it's coming.
Yeah, I have like a vacuum cleaner like on the floor, this robot thing who's like driving all the time. Yeah, why not avoid, or like why avoiding him? And just like try to adapt.
There are prototypes for that already in China. Like I was just talking to I think it was Björn, who was also in this podcast. He's a China expert. Like we ended up talking about robots, and like there are already existing prototypes, like first versions. I mean, this is all how it started with these robots, like iRobot or like Roomba, whatever. And it was simple at first. Like it was just hit or miss. They randomly went through the room, and at some point you expected it to be completed. And these days they can make an entire map of your apartment, and some of them have cameras built in. And it's just a matter of time that they can just stand up and take your dishes out of the dishwasher or whatever. And one thing you said a couple of weeks ago, I was moderating an event, CloudFest, and we always have a text like to welcome everyone. And this year it was like, don't worry, we won't replace you with AI. And we had 18,000 people like coming to this event. Everyone saw this. But I think it's enough, like it's very important to really internalize this. Like we are all a little bit scared. I mean, because it's the unknown.
Agree.
But it's how you approach. It's in a way, as the humankind, we're getting out of our comfort zone now with AI, right? Like we talked a lot about comfort zones, and I think best way to approach it is to keep a positive mindset and just to maneuver this into the right direction. That's how I see it, because working against the current doesn't feel like an efficient way to go about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. I'm surf sometimes, or I even try to. Fighting against the ocean is very, very hard. Yeah, true. And also what I want to add is we're selling to humans. So I don't know if like the robot one day, I don't know, but he's not wearing the socks and he's not paying for that.
Yeah.
So humans are selling to humans. Humans are living with humans.
They will continue to
consume. Will continue to consume. And therefore is like, this is something what we don't or shouldn't forget about it, that we still have on the other side of the end, the human. And always is like, we want to connect, and we are kind of together, and we have this energy exchange, and this will always be like that.
Yeah. So. Edvin, I want to thank you for a couple of things. First of all, you coming here all the way to Berlin to have this conversation with me and with us, giving us the very authentic version of your story.
Thank you.
Being so open to share all the ups and downs throughout the journey, and just really enjoyed listening to that, listening to cold calls, and listening to all kinds of things you've done and how you made the switch to where you are today, which in my opinion feels just perfectly right where you are. And then to listen to all the insights you share from your day-to-day operation. All these like automations, there's buzzwordy sometimes, but sometimes it's just a formula that you just apply, and not being afraid, and also pushing change management across the organization, working with all these people and just giving them the reassurance, hey, just because we're automizing these things doesn't mean that you're at risk. You can do cooler things, you know what I mean? So I love this conversation with you. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
And looking forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you so much again.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of the EGN Podcast. If you found our discussion insightful, don't forget to give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channels on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Your support helps us grow and improve our content. See you next time.